Alright guys, welcome back to me working here on the HG Gundam Livelance Heaven. In the last video we took a look at just doing a little bit of modification with this, basically just making this new gun for it. What I've done then in the meantime is glue some of these joints. So for example, like this arm, it can still bend at the shoulder joint, but I've just gone and glued like the elbow joint just basically to fix the pose in some of the joints, anyway. That'll just also make it easier for us to paint. But so that's what we're going to be doing in today's video, talking about the painting. So first off, for the priming, I'm just going to be using a spray primer here, spray can. This is Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 black. The reason that I'm using spray can surfacer and why I'm going to be hand painting the kit with some SMS paints here is just because I still don't have an airbrush set up here in my new working space, and until then this is just kind of what I'm going to use. So spray can primer is something that works perfectly fine if you guys have never used it before. It's pretty simple to use, and while using spray cans for like your actual painting, not really ideal for primer. It works just fine because you don't need to worry about mixing colors or doing any shading, anything like that. It's just not the kind of thing you would normally do with surfacer, so just out of the can is fine. So that's what I'm going to be using for that. Black, just because I'm going for kind of darker colors. As I mentioned in the first video, I'm going for a low visibility color scheme for this based off of the Megami device kits. So for the two main colors of the kit, going to be using medium blue and sasebo gray for kind of darker and lighter colors. For the inner frame parts, just going to be using a standard German gray, and then for a couple of little highlights, just a plain orange. So keeping it pretty simple with the colors, and I don't have a lot of stuff on hand to be able to do a lot of detail painting and things like that, so we'll just basically see what I can do with those. For the spraying, I've got just this little thing made up here, which is for my alligator clips, which I've got to make a bunch of. So just a heads up, in case you guys are ever in the market wanting to buy alligator clips, you can buy the products just to make alligator clips for yourself for very cheap, and you can make a ton of them. So these are just some bamboo skewers. They're available in different thicknesses and different lengths, but just make sure that you get a thickness that will fit with the alligator clips that you're getting. So just stick that in there, and then you'll just need to use a pair of pliers to just tighten that up on there. But for example, they make some of these bamboo skewers that are like thicker, and they won't fit between these teeth here for tightening up the alligator clip around that. So just make sure you're careful with buying these. So I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a few of these I can use, get some primer on here, and then we'll start with painting. Right, so now that all the parts are all primed, we can start the painting now. This is going to be an interesting paint experiment for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've never tried hand painting with SMS paints before on like a full kit, and I've experimented with it a little bit and it seems to work pretty well. Normally when it comes to hand painting lacquer paints, you just need to make sure that the paint's thin correctly, and using a leveling thinner is the best way to go because it's slower drying, so it allows the paint more time to level out as you're hand painting it on. And the other thing is that I've just never tried hand painting an HG Gundam kit before, so I have hand painted using Mr. Color lacquer paints on the old 100 scale Gelgoog kit, if you guys remember that one. But so doing it with this type of paint on this type of kit is going to be a new experience for me, so we'll see how it goes. Either way, I think it's just going to be fun to just paint anyway. And in just a couple minutes, there's how it's going to be looking. So the really great thing about hand painting in this way is that you get some really nice color. Instead of like airbrushing where it gives you a really nice solid color, which does look good, this one gives you kind of like, already gives you the effect of some weathering that you can recreate just by through the process of hand painting. It doesn't look even, so that it just automatically looks sort of weathered. And you can build up the paints a little bit more to get some more different color variation, more layers of paint in certain areas, and just like leaving it a little bit darker in other areas, especially around like these areas where I'm gonna have to panel line anyway. I can just kind of, that's the good point of priming with black. I can just leave those areas black, those little recessed lines and things like that, because I'm gonna be panel lining them with black anyway. And you get just a really nice texture and everything on there. And I will say that this particular color is working really nicely. But as far as the order of how I'm actually planning to paint this, I am going to go ahead and paint all like the joint parts and everything in the German gray first, which as you can see I did a little bit on this part here already. But because the German gray is so close to the black, because it's very dark, it's really hard to show you guys on camera, so I figured I'd start with a little bit of a lighter color. Now this is actually our darker of the two different tones that I'm going to be using for the main colors of the suit, but what I'm going to do is paint all the internal joint parts first, then paint the armor, and then I can go back and touch up anything else that I need, and then do a little bit of detail painting with our colors here as well. Alright guys, so coming back now, I've got all of the parts painted, and I went ahead and sprayed a coat of gloss coat on everything, because now I'm ready to go ahead and put on some decals and panel lining, and then we'll do the top coat, and that's basically going to be about it. There you can see how some of it's going to be looking, and of course it's at that stage where one's got that clear gloss coat on there. I mean, it's just going to be looking pretty bad. The ugliest stage as it is, and as you guys can see from taking a look at some of these, this little bit of silver here, which is going to go up underneath the clear part, I just color that in with just a silver paint marker, Gundam marker. And I did also paint the eyes and head camera there with a toothpick and some green paint, just from a green metallic Gundam marker. I'm not sure I really like that in metallic green though, so I might change that to like a clear blue as well. But especially the eyes are really not even going to be seen, just because it's so dark up in there and just kind of the angle that I'm going to have it posed at. The eyes are going to really be just kind of not all that visible anyway. So for the panel lining, I'm just going to be using a wash of black. And for some waterslide decals, I'm just going to use a few decals here off of this Machine Krieger set here from the Raccoon. So I'll use maybe one of these logos off of here. I think probably one of these R's on like the outer armor pieces there that fold over the shoulders, whatever. And then some of these decals are in black and some of them are in white, so I'll use probably the white ones, that makes sense, and then I'll just save the black ones for my Raccoon kit later on. But let's go ahead and throw a few of these on, and then we can get to the panel line wash. Okay, so the next thing we also need to work on is just a simple base for our kit, because it's going to be using a classic wood block here, but I want to sand this a little bit, so I'm going to sand this down just a little bit, then I'm going to throw some wood stain on it. It's nothing special, just some dark walnut wood stain. Just going to brush a little bit of that on, and then for holding up the kit, you could just use a piece of brass rod. This is actually a piece of a hanger. So you have like your metal hanger, so this is actually metal with the rubber coating on it, and it's 3 millimeters wide, the exact width that we need for plugging into the base of your HG kits. And the fact that it's rubber coated means that it's actually going to be easier to paint than something like a brass rod, and it's still malleable. You can still form it and bend it a little bit. I'm probably just going to keep it straight for now, but I need to cut the length that we need, so I'll cut that down a little bit later. We need to, of course, drill a hole into our wood block for that, but the first thing we need to do is just sand this. Alright guys, so here is the final product. I gotta say I'm pretty happy with this. This was basically just kind of an experiment to, number one, like I said before, just to try hand painting lacquers on an HG Gundam kit. I've done hand painting with lacquers before. I'm definitely still no expert on that in general, but I've never done it on an HG Gundam kit, so I just wanted to try that out. And it was also an experiment to try hand painting specifically with the SMS brand lacquer paints, because I've never tried that before, and as far as I know, I don't know of anyone who really does it, but I just wanted to see how well you can do it, and I think it worked out really well. I just used them right out of the bottle, but I did find that some of the colors worked just a little bit nicer, just in terms of the consistency of the paint just straight out of the bottle. Some of them were a little bit thinner than others, so having some thinner on hand to make sure that if your paint is getting a little bit thick as you're trying to paint it on, you just drop a couple of drops of thinner in there and just thin it down again a little bit, and you can just keep going with it. So it works out pretty well. paint job is definitely not perfect. There's areas that look better than others, but again, just as an experiment, I'm happy with this. I think it came out looking pretty cool. I just wanted to try changing the color scheme on this kit, and obviously with that new weapon. A few of you guys pointed out to me in the first work in progress video that you thought it would be a good idea to remove the kind of sight at the front of the barrel of the Moon Gundam's beam rifle, because as is, it's sort of like blocking the camera that I made for it. But I didn't really mind that too much, honestly. I kind of liked it there, even though, like, yeah, realistically it's kind of blocking the camera. But just from the standpoint of the design of the rifle, I could just kind of liked it, even though it's unrealistic. So that's why I just ended up leaving that there. But anyway, guys, it's been a while since I've been able to finish a painted kit, so it definitely feels good to kind of sort of be back on the horse. But I should be able to start airbrushing and maybe in the near future. I'm working on getting everything set up here in my new studio space. All my stuff that I shipped over from Korea finally arrived, so I've got a bunch more tools and supplies and paints and stuff available now. My stuff that I had before that I shipped over is now available here, and I'm just working on kind of getting everything set up in the new office space. So you guys should see some more of that in the near future, but in the meantime, I will probably still just be working with just hand painting for the next couple of painted projects, probably just because I also just want to practice that some more. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this kit. What do you think about it? How do you think it came out? What do you like or dislike about it? Feel free to let me know down in the comment section. And of course, if you guys want to check out some of the HG Battlogue kits like this one and the others, you can check out USA Gundam Store. The link and the coupon code for you guys to use will be down in the video description also. So thanks for checking out the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to like or subscribe, that would also be greatly appreciated. Until next time, hope you guys are all having a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.